Hello, folks. It is my pleasure to welcome you to Crypto Convo. I am your host, Jon Najarian, and I am delighted to have Alex Mascioli, the founder and chairman of Trade the Chain, joining me now. Hey, Alex, how the heck are you, sir?
Hey, John. Thank you for having me, man. A pleasure to be here.
Well, I've been in Alex's apartment many times, folks, enjoying some adult beverages and maybe even a cigar or whatever. And he's a fellow Puerto Rican like me, because we're both Puerto Ricans. But believe it or not, Alex was actually born here on the island. I have matriculated to the island to join him, but he was born here, folks. So he was also one of the leading folks in crypto to take the first leap from New York to come down here, and his sentiment indicator, Trade the Chain. You may have recognized some of his race cars in NASCAR as well. And he certainly had a very interesting career long before crypto, but in particular in crypto, he has helped create hedge fund areas for like a prime broker for hedge funds that he sold to a London-based firm. And now he spends most of his time when he's not out on the boat talking about crypto or saying, hey, John, we should meet up somewhere in San Juan for dinner. And so we've done that a bunch. So welcome, man. It's great to have you.
Oh, it's great. The sun always shines where we are.
That's true. That's true. Especially if you're on his boat, folks, one of his two boats. Which is why you want to tune into Crypto Convo, because a lot of very successful cryptopreneurs have joined us on the show, and Alex is certainly right up there with them. Alex, what I thought might be interesting right now, because here we are, it's the 2nd of March. We're talking about what's going on in Ukraine and so forth, wild gyrations in the stock market and wild gyrations in crypto, my man. So you're somebody who's been talking about it, watching it, trading it for years. Tell me a little bit about your thoughts of the overall crypto market and then stock market, and then we'll drill down into things like Ukraine and how much people have really migrated into crypto because of instability in the world like Ukraine.
Yeah, I mean, the markets are definitely been a roller coaster for 2022 thus far. A lot of wind taken out of the sails in both in crypto when it came to the new year, which was a little bit of a surprise for a lot of people who indicated, and myself included, we were going to kind of barrel into Q1 of 2022 on a bullish note, but we didn't. And so we retested some, really important indicators on Bitcoin. And I think a lot of people, kind of retested their way of thinking over the past 12 months on their outlook. As far as equity markets are concerned, they haven't fared too bad. And I think a lot of the news, especially with the Fed meetings, with interest rate hikes, I think a lot of that was baked in. So equities kind of held up pretty well as far as I was concerned. But now the Ukraine war has started and this invasion by Russia, and it threw everybody on end in where things are going to go. And I think it kind of went opposite of what a lot of the herd thought it was going to go. So,
yeah. And in particular, I love right now, Alex, that we've got so many people that think that they know what is going to be happening with crypto. For instance, they think that it was going to be a blitzkrieg type situation and that we were going to see the markets move dramatically to the upside because it was going to be a quick war and Ukraine was going to lay down their arms, and the opposite has happened. Ukraine, but I would posit that none of us really expected. The Russians never said they were going in and it was just going to be for a day or two, and they expected Ukraine to lay down their arms. What I thought was, you don't build up troops on the border for 2 months, which they'd been doing, Alex, and have a 45-mile long procession of tanks and all that ready to go. if you expect this to be something like when Germany went into France or whatever. Not at all. The Maginot Line, they had no such illusions, I don't think, in Russia. And I don't think any of us trading the markets should have had any of those illusions either, or delusions. But, we've seen crypto go from roughly 48 start of the year, cratering down to 3,350 or 34,000, something like that, and now move all the way back up to 44,000. What's your feeling overall on the crypto market? Healthy? Or do you think that was a shocker that caught too many people overly long, levered long, and this is another one of those many rug pulls or liquidation events?
I mean, there's definitely a lot of liquidations that have happened, and I feel sorry for those poor souls. But at the same time, I also think Bitcoin has kind of proven itself. The biggest chant for last year or even the year before was how this is an inflationary instrument of sorts. I think Bitcoin has proved itself to not be that at all. But what it has proven is what we've seen with this war is the demand for Bitcoin. Now, the market on Monday, when I woke up, I thought we were going to take a nosedive. We didn't. We ended up, having quite the rally. And, my wife, who is smart on traditional side, made out on UCO, double levered oil, thinking, hey, that's going to be a catastrophe problem. And then we're going to need a lot of oil and it's going to go priced high. But Bitcoin became in demand. If anybody didn't notice, a week before the invasion, Ukraine actually approved Bitcoin as a currency in the country. And I think that was very foretelling of what was about to happen. And that's the fact that it would be legal for people over there to move their local currency into Bitcoin, as well as the Russian demand for it as their national currency hits an all-time low for a very long period. I think it's, down 50, 60% almost at this point. It's been really hit hard. So crypto all of a sudden got a new fresh fire under it. There's a big demand over the last, let's call it week and a half for it. We're seeing prices rise. I actually was on the phone with a crypto exchange operator who we both know 2 weeks ago, and we were talking about volumes and how volumes they were just down. They were soft, not a lot of trading going on. Now we're seeing volume pick up. We're seeing that price action move, hopefully, get a little more volatility to the upside. But I think right now crypto is seeing what it was made for, just like it did in Turkey when they had their issues, and just like Venezuela when they had their currency issues. And that's big demand for protecting assets.
Yeah, and moving assets, because one of the charts that I shared, I think yesterday on one of the programs, Alex, was this Ruble-to-Tether trade.
Oh, yeah.
Most of you watching this right now know that coins trade in a variety of currencies, of course, because if you happen to be in Argentina, you're trading, the Argentine peso into Bitcoin, into Ethereum, into whatever you're trading. So that currency, that digital currency to fiat pair is different depending where you are and what your currency is. So to see as much, and it was record levels of ruble to tether, which again, just to spell it out for folks, means that Russians primarily, who else holds a lot of rubles, Russians were fleeing their fiat and going into a stable currency like Tether. Now, it's not a pure stable coin. I understand it's a banking coin. We all know it's got some hair on it too, because it's got various SEC investigations, Office of the Controller of the Currency investigations, all that kind of stuff, Alex. But in particular, I think it was noteworthy to see how big and how long lasting the ruble to various cryptos has been. And that's because people don't want to see their currency debased by 50%. And they also know that there's a prohibition on taking currency out of the country, out of Russia. So if you're a Russian citizen, and whether or not you support the war or the expansion of the Soviet Union or whatever we want to call it, you would probably say, I want something that's not going to lose value. And they have decided, voted with their feet to get the heck out of some of those fiats and into crypto.
Yeah, it's literally a use case for why it's a good thing and what crypto is made to do. To your point, you have those mandates now. I think it's $10,000, if I'm not mistaken, John, that a person can literally take out of the country of Russia. And that's not really meaningful for folks. They're worried about their money. You look at the past, China devaluing their currency by 50% on just an arbitrary stroke of trying to balance out their economy. Stuff like that isn't good. So you're going to see a lot of people. Tether's widely used in Asia. It's still probably the most used stablecoin there is. And now you're looking at places like Russia, which are adopting it more and more. And, it does come with hair on its chest, so to speak. But the fact of the matter is you can walk out of Russia with your entire savings or net worth. And that's a big deal.
So Chairman Powell, of course, was talking today before the House Financial Services Committee. He was talking about what's going to be going on with the Fed, Treasury, and fiat, of course. But it was funny to me, noteworthy, I thought, that he mentioned over and over again, Alex, crypto, because he said, and I'm quoting here, Ukraine-Russia conflict underscores the need for congressional action on digital finance, including cryptocurrencies. We have this burgeoning industry, which has many parts to it, and there isn't a place, and there isn't in place the kind of regulatory framework that needs to be there. Now, many of us would say we hope there's not going to be a lot of regulation, and for those who want that regulation, all I got to do is point to the DEX, the decentralized exchanges, Alex, and say, this is something you can't really get your hands around. And a lot of us are very happy that the Fed and others can't just dictate to a decentralized exchange, Binance, for example, FTX for their offshore, not their US FTX, but their offshore FTX, and a host of others. Exchanges, and then you've got the polka dots and all the rest, Alex, that are out there. What do you think as far as, does this really boost up some of those, Sushi Swap, polka dot, and so forth? Does this boost up the fact that the Fed chair is saying we need to regulate these, and they're like, you can't regulate us?
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, in the past week, we take a look at, Arthur Hayes paid out a fine, agreed to a guilty plea on BitMEX, and so did a couple of his co-founders and stuff like that. So, when that came crashing down, I know a lot of people were shocked, and regulators were just trying to swing for the fences and see what they could hit. The problem with regulation in crypto is that there is it's gray. There's no black and white. They haven't put a sturdy framework on it. They're late to the party. It's interesting for me, I think for the first time in my life, to be so early to something that you as well early, that we're sitting around going, we told you years ago this was going to be a new era that's coming. And here it is. And so with them, they need to wrap their heads around it. And they need to do it quicker than later. I think regulation is good for centralized exchanges and for various investor protection laws, but I think that DEXs are what crypto truly is, and the decentralization of it all, and they're never going to be able to get to that, and that's fine. But until they have the centralized regulation down, they're just going to stymie innovation. People are going to be scared to step out on that ledge as entrepreneurs and try to move things along. And as we all know, crypto moves at the speed of light, practically, it feels like. So who knows? Powell's an interesting person to watch when it comes to what he has to say about crypto. I also, just one of the things that as I look at the screens and the Dow Jones, and we're talking about the traditional markets up today, just 2%, a little over 2%, which is big. And it's been like that a couple of days now. He talks about, the Fed rate hikes of possibly, a half a point, but realistically, probably a quarter. And I don't think the equity markets are going to hurt. I think that's already baked in to where the markets are now. We've known it's been coming. And if we're going to talk about crypto correlating with them, I don't see really any near-term bad times for both markets.
I agree. Well, Alex, I really appreciate you sharing those thoughts with us, sir. Folks, you can find Alex at Trade the Chain. It's a great site. They've built up quite a following, and I'd encourage you to check it out. And we will welcome you back to another Crypto Convo very soon. So thank you, Alex.
Jon, thank you so much for having me. Always a pleasure, my friend.